Hello, lovely members. My name's S.L.Ager, and I'm the author of the Cadwallader Quest vocabulary novel and workbook series, which you can see behind me there. I'm absolutely thrilled to be hosting our new segment, which is called Tutor Focus. And I get to interview and talk to some of the fabulous tutors in our group so that you, the members, can get to know them better. And I'm absolutely thrilled to have the tutoress with us today. I also know her as Victoria Ademosu, but yes, she's the tutoress and she's absolutely wonderful. So hi, Victoria, and how are you?
Hi, Sheena. Thank you so much for having me on. And I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. We try to keep the segment fairly short so that people can watch it, Victoria. So if it's okay with you, we'll jump straight into the questions.
Yeah, sure.
So what specialty do you tutor, if any, and where and how do you do that?
So my focus is on the 11 plus exams, and the majority of my students are preparing for independent schools. But we do have probably about 40% who are applying to grammar schools as well. So the focus really is on helping them to pass the 11 plus. And also, I guess, what we do quite a bit is we have a lot of online courses as well to help them with preparing for the exams.
Okay, so if you're mainly independent with a few grammar, are your children sort of disparate? Are they placed all around the country? Are they far and wide? Are you tutoring online for lots of different schools?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So our students are literally all over the country. We have some applying to schools in Scotland. We have some applying to schools or the popular sort of school in Dubai, as well as, the London schools. And then we have some applying to the boarding schools as well.
Okay, and if you are tutoring for state grammar, are you tutoring for a particular area with an exam board, or again, do you do all exam boards?
Most of our students are preparing for the either CEM or GL assessment exams. So we have literally some who are all over the UK, so isn't really necessarily focused on one area, but the majority are in either Bucks or Berkshire. And then again, London is also really popular as well.
Sure. And why and how did you become? Hi,
So
Isabella.
I was
Say little Isabella's down as well. So if you can hear her, just we're saying hello. Hi, Isabella. Sorry. Why did you
say hi.
Victoria?
So I was working in a primary school and, I enjoyed it. I loved it. And one day someone came up to me and said, would you tutor my child? And the idea of tutoring had never entered into my mind at all because I just wasn't really that familiar with it at the time. And growing up, I never had a tutor. So it wasn't something that I was very used to. But this parent was really keen on me teaching their child. And I said, it's against school policy. I can't teach your child, but I'm happy for you to recommend me to somebody else. And so she recommended me to one of her family members. And so I ended up tutoring their child. And literally the rest is history because I just loved it. I thought, wow, this is amazing. Being in the classroom is lovely, but that one-to-one focus or that small group focus is really nice. And I sort of fell in love with it and decided, actually, this is where I want to be.
That's a really nice segue to the next question. So what would you say your greatest, I think I know what they are because I've seen you teach, but what do you think your greatest tutoring strengths are, Victoria?
I think, and this is based on what parents say, so I'm going to try and be objective, but I think my biggest strength is probably the fact that I'm quite a calm person, or I at least try to project calmness, especially when working with children. And I think that's very important because the exams can be quite stressful. And if you're very sort of stressed out as a tutor, I think that has a very negative effect on the children and the parents. So I try to be really calm throughout the process and I try to be positive and reassuring. I also am not judgmental. I think that's one of my strengths as well. I take each child as an individual and I don't judge them and compare them to other children, which is something I think that unfortunately a lot of parents do because it's kind of natural to do that as a parent, but sometimes teachers do that too, and that can be quite negative.
It's interesting because I've seen you teach a lot. I've seen you teach face to face before COVID, and which actually wasn't a normal lesson. It was I came to meet some of your students, so there were quite a lot of students in the room. And the thing that really struck me was the respect they had for you, those children. And it was really apparent to me, and it was lovely and it was obvious. There was a lovely atmosphere in that room as well with the people that were helping you. But I've also joined a lot of your online classes that you do free on Facebook, and they're great. I love the way you teach, and I love the methods you use with the kids. So it's really, really heartening to see you teach like that. Which leads me to ask you, what's your favourite part of tutoring?
I think, I guess it's kind of an obvious one for me, but my absolute favorite thing about being a tutor is seeing a child go from maybe not being that confident or not knowing something that well to all of a sudden being like, oh, I get that. That I can totally do that. That lights me up and that makes me want to continue. Like that just motivates me. And every time I come across a student who maybe was struggling at the beginning and then all of a sudden they have that aha moment and they get it, I feel like I've done my job. And it just makes me so happy because seeing the progress that they make is amazing. And I think as tutors, we sometimes have to remind ourselves that we are shaping the next generation. And that's something I tell myself often, which is that, you know, every impact that you make on one child has a knock-off effect on that child and the future. So it's really important to support them and to give them that encouragement.
I think that's a really good answer, and it's interesting because I'm seeing with sort of the tutors that I respect this common thread of seeing this progress is what really makes your job worthwhile. So it's really nice to hear that. Now I'm going to put you on the spot here, Victoria, and I ask every tutor this. You're only allowed to give us one tip. What would be your top tip to a parent for these tricky exams?
Oh, that's a good question. There are so many tips, and when you ask that question, I want to give like 1,000 because there's so many. But my top tip, oh, can it be specific to a subject?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So my top tip in terms of English is that it's really important for parents to try to create an environment of literacy within the home. So if you can, as a parent, encourage English, not just, you know, forcing your child to go through the books, which they have to do, but actually encouraging them to read at home, to talk about books, to talk about literature, to talk about the films they watch, to talk about stories, to talk about newspaper articles and radio stations and whatever they've heard, to talk about the different parts of English within a normal kind of in a normal way. I think that makes such a big impact on their understanding of English and their ability to comprehend, to answer comprehension questions, to infer, to deduce, and to have those skills that they need for the 11 plus exams. I think so much of learning is outside of the classroom or outside of the, you know, sit down and complete the book. It's actually in what they do every day.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's an incredibly good tip because the thing is, English isn't just English, is it? It's reading maths questions, it's interpreting science questions, it's everything. And I remember a primary school teacher when I was teaching Josie, or not teaching her to read, helping her to read with the Kip and Chipper books, whatever they were called, Chip and whatever. And the teacher said to me, it's not about your child being able to regurgitate a word. Yes, that's important to be able to spell it out and say it phonetically. It's all about the understanding. And, like I say to a lot of the people I talk to, comprehension and vocabulary is king. You've got to be able to understand what you're reading as well as just read it. So I think that's an amazing tip, Victoria. And, sitting around the dinner table and talking about, yeah, the radio, the newspaper. Absolutely. That is a brilliant tip. Thank you, Victoria. Really cool. And then, Victoria, we're going to wrap up soon. But before we go, could you just tell people where they can find you online, and also maybe just a little bit more about what the Tutoress offers in terms of tutoring?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me, my website is thetutoress.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I do Facebook Lives every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
And they're great.
And thank you. I'm on like Instagram and Twitter, but I barely ever go on there. So if you do message me on there, I probably will not respond for a while, just because I just don't use those platforms much. But yeah, you can definitely find me on Facebook, on my Facebook Lives. And on my website is probably the best way to contact me if you ever need to. You can also find my books on Amazon as well. So if you go to Amazon and type in Victoria Olubi or Victoria Ademosu,
yes,
you'll find me.
Victoria's got many good books on Amazon. I've got lots of them. And also, Victoria, will you be going back to your face-to-face teaching how you were before, or do you think you will stay mostly online now?
That's something I've been debating. Obviously, with the pandemic, it's been so difficult to predict what the future will be like, even though we have a vaccine and things are looking really positive. But you know, we just don't know exactly what will happen. But I do love teaching online. So I think what might happen is that my shorter courses will be online, and then I might still do my bigger courses, like my summer course, that might be face to face, or I might do a hybrid. I'm still thinking about that as well, and kind of mix it and have some online lessons and then some face-to-face ones as well.
Brilliant. Okay, well, people know where to get you. Isabella, bye-bye.
Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi.
Hello. Are you helping Mummy?
You're being shy.
I love her hair.
Yeah. Oh, she's just up and down everywhere at the moment.
Toddlers. Well, how old is she now, Victoria?
She just turned 3.
Oh, well, she's growing up now. She'll be a young lady soon.
She will be, yes. And then I can take a break hopefully.
Anyway, lovely to talk to you, Victoria. Thank you so much. Right. And I'll see you soon.
So much. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye, Isabella.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.